Ahoy there, and welcome back to DohMance Done. I'm Luke, he, him, sometimes they, them, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host who is not going to have a third thing to say about herself, Janine.
It's kind of my brand right now, and I love the rhyme. Hello, my name is Janine Juliet. My pronouns are she, they, and I don't have a third thing to say.
And we are back with the start of another arc of the show, and so we have brought on a guest aboard. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Claire Mulkerin. I am oh shoot, I do a lot of things. Mostly podcasts. That's probably what you care about if you're listening to this is podcasts. So, I am the host, editor, GM, etc. of Binary Break, which is an actual play RPG podcast that takes place in the world of Digimon, and you should listen to it.
You should. I'm listening to it. It's great stuff. So now you have
Yeah.
two people telling you, so that means you have to do it.
Also, I make video games. Go play Apocryphana if you can figure out how to spell it, or go to claremulkerin.itch.io if you can figure out how to spell Mulkerin.
I realized that my mind had just been reading it as Mullerkin, so I'm glad
Mm,
that I have had my brain corrected.
right. Glad that you were not the one to say my name first aloud on the podcast.
My mom didn't raise a fool. Well, she didn't raise me. Well, I'm not a fool, so. Uh, so, what is your background with The Simpsons?
So I live in this country. It's called America, and I grew up in the sort of late 20th, early 21st century. So I'm familiar with The Simpsons. I watched a lot of it because that's how it goes.
I mean, you laugh, but I've tried to talk to other people about guesting on the show, and they're like, "Oh, well, I never watched The Simpsons." It's like,
Oh.
you do comedy? How? Like
Yeah,
you
I watched quite a bit of it as a kid. I actually had an uncle who used to tape like runs of episodes, and my uncle lived in Connecticut and I was living in New Mexico at the time, but we would periodically get like VHS tapes in the mail that would have like a dozen or so Simpsons episodes. And so by the end we had like probably like 10 of these videotapes that just had like, the vast majority of episodes that were probably out at that time. And
keep,
yeah, so we just watched and rewatched all the time until the tapes wore out. So
keep circulating the tapes, as they say.
yeah.
So you mentioned New Mexico. Do you
Yes.
have thoughts on the 2024 Albuquerque Isotopes baseball menu?
Oh, I don't
If
know if
not,
I'm
that's fine.
familiar. I don't know if I'm familiar with this story. Tell me about it.
Oh, the Albuquerque Isotopes are the minor league baseball team of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it is a not really recurring bit since we've only done it twice, but it is a bit to see what weird atrocities they have had. This year they downgraded from the 2023 Dentist's Delight, which, I mean, the name alone.
Dentist's delight? What is
Yes.
that? What does that mean?
Oh my
Uh,
god.
I don't understand. I understand what these words mean individually, but put together.
Okay,
it,
let me look it up so I can tell you the exact things that goes into a dentist's delight.
we're all looking up the Dentist's Delight.
Janine, are you in some sort of auditorium?
No, I'm in a studio apartment that doesn't have any furniture.
Okay, that explains it.
Mhm,
Just
mhm.
curious.
Yes, we are dealing with new sounds this
It's
week.
it's like it's a little bit booming in kind of a good way. I mean, for some audio purist, it wouldn't be considered like, very good, clean audio, but it just makes you sound very important that your voice is kind of has this slight echo to it. So,
The Dentist's Delight begins with an apple fritter as the bun, topped with a half pound of brisket, caramel aioli, and tangy green caramel coleslaw, topped with yet another apple fritter, and then you just sprinkle on some caramel popcorn.
Okay, and this is a thing sold at the, like, Albuquerque Isotopes Stadium, presumably?
Last year, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm from Las Cruces, so how
I
dare
know that.
you bring up Albuquerque? It's very different. No, just
No, I mean, my sister now lives in Albuquerque. My parents live in Santa Fe, so
okay. Oh no, you know things about New Mexico. Oh no, I
I
can't just.
do. I, if I had a computer that could play it, I would get my fix by playing New Vegas.
Yeah.
But we got sidetracked. What is your background, if any, with One Piece before this show?
Well, I'll put it this way. Um,
Mhm.
I thought it was Luffy before I started watching these.
There's people who like watch the anime in sub only who I think still use that pronunciation for whatever reason.
Yeah, I watched the dub, and that was quite delightful.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I've not ever taken the plunge into One Piece. I think just the times when that one was on the rise fell in a time when I was like too cool for anime. You know,
Hmm.
throughout my sort of teens and 20s, you'd go through cycles of anime's great. No, I'm too cool for anime. I don't like anime anymore. No, anime is great. And I think it hit in the wrong time, and then there was too much of it and I was afraid. And um also I don't know, there was some, it never like fully grabbed me. I've really enjoyed watching what we had here today, but
Hmm.
something about, I don't know if it's just the art style or whatnot, it looks, it's like kind of weird, as I'm sure you know. It's kind of
Yeah,
like, it's kind of jagged and a little scratchy and kind of not super appealing. Everyone's kind of weird looking, you know. So
they're all distinct. Yeah, I think that's. I mean,
yeah.
my wife said she was turned off by how big Luffy's mouth gets in the anime, and so she never watched it as a child and still refuses to.
Yeah,
So,
I have one story about my only interaction with One Piece up until this point.
mhm.
But first, I need to ask you about what the content ratings are that we can get to on this podcast in terms of to what extent NSFW content is allowed.
Fucking go for it.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
go for it.
I
Okay.
mean, did you listen to the episode where I talked about the weird porn that I found
Oh
of One
no.
Piece?
Okay. So here's my only interaction with One Piece
Uh-huh.
before coming onto this show. A few years ago, me this was, oh, it was probably like 2017, maybe 2016. But I went to an anime convention, and this was in a time period where I was identifying as gender fluid. I was not fully out as trans yet, and I went with a girlfriend, the girl I was dating at the time, and I was quote unquote boy moding at the con though.
Mhm.
So she looked like a girl, I looked like a boy, but she knew my whole gender situation and she was cool with it and everything.
Mhm.
And we go to this, we went to several different panels, and one of the ones that we went to was a very NSFW panel in which they would they had projected on a wall um pages of like porn comics, and they would kind of click through it like a slideshow. It was like a screen share thing, and they would pull people up from the cast. They would pull people up from the audience, and you'd get like cast in the porn, and they would go through it, and you would read it. You do like dramatic readings of very weird, kind of niche like hentai comics, and
Ah, the turtle is filling me.
so I it was mm, so one of the ones that they picked was a um One Piece
Mhm.
thing that was also Futanari, everyone's favorite. So me and my girlfriend went up, and I just was completely looking like a dude. I had like, probably a couple days of stubble. And at that time I could grow some hella stubble in a couple days.
Mhm.
And she and I sat down and we were cast as um presumably the two ladies, Nico and I can always remember
Nami.
one of what's it?
Nami.
Nami, yeah. I can always remember one, but it changes, like, from day to day when I try to
Mhm.
think of their names. I remember one because I think it's weird that they both start with N, and my brain doesn't want to like, no, it can't be that. They can't both
Mhm.
start with N. But, anyway. So, yeah, so I think I was Nami and she was Nico, and I just went up and I introduced myself, just like, "Hey, what's up? Dead name. I'm gonna read this thing, whatever." And then when it got to the thing, I just immediately switched into the most, like, super femme perfect girl voice when it got to the porn thing, and everyone was looking at this just incredibly masculine dude, suddenly just absolutely nailing it with making all of these little sounds and things like that, and, um, everyone was laughing their butts off, but, like, also very impressed. I got a lot of looks of like, "What the fuck?" a little bit, and it was one of my proudest moments. As you might imagine, given that Nico was in the mix, there were a lot of hands and other
Yeah.
parts, as I'm
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
like, I I is it did does anyone see that power on screen and then within, like, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, immediately not just think of, like, the the sex applications, the kink applications of that power.
Oh,
Like,
what one of the characters well, no, actually, almost immediately, people started writing in because the collected volumes have Q&A sessions, and they were like, "Hey, does Luffy's dick stretch?" And Oda was like, "Yeah, of course it does. He's made of rubber." And there's another character, Buggy, who can break his body into pieces, and it's like, "Can his dick go off and fly around?" And he's like, "Yes, of course."
I can't believe he answered that question. I remember I saw a thing where, someone asked the creator of Ranma whether Ranma could get pregnant in the girl form, and his response was, "I don't think about that, and neither should you," which is just wonderful. But it sounds like this is Oda, right? The guy who
Mhm,
made this,
mhm.
or was that the
Yeah.
one answering? Yeah, that he probably has a very different attitude towards that sort of fandom.
I mean, Oda married a model who he met when she was dressed up as Nami.
Mm.
So he's
He knows
he's
what he likes.
horny. Yeah, and he has changed some of his preferences in the past like 3 years. He's finally been like, you know what? I can be an ass guy too.
That's development for him.
It
That's yeah,
That's
is.
his
that's
It
character
is.
progress.
development.
It
That's
Yeah.
is.
progress. Yeah. On the topic of that, the one of the reasons I was kind of scared away from One Piece for a while, and I'm not sure how much y'all have talked about this on the show before, was I read an article a while back about like what sexism in One Piece. And
Yes.
it
Mhm.
was I'm gonna see if I can because I
There
uh
was a good
it was
one
something called
on.
"Choosing to Remain Strong Against Female Criticism" or something like
Mhm,
that was the name of, because it was like from a quote from him. Let me Yeah, so it's from a website, looks like, called Anime Feminist, and choosing to remain strong against the female criticism, the vindictive storytelling of Oda Ichiro.
mhm.
And yeah, I without knowing much about One Piece, I read it through and it was just some kind of not great quotes, a lot of stuff about
Yeah.
like women being kind of inherently weaker and stuff like that. And it's this I feel very divided about it because I've seen some bits of like the live action One Piece and I was like, "Oh, that seems like it's fun. Maybe I'll watch that show." And
Mhm,
I see clips out of context of One Piece and it seems like really intriguing and I really want to give it a shot. And then I see stuff like that and like the place where I'm at right now in stories,
mhm.
are there cool bitches who kick ass is like
Yes.
kind of my number one requirement for stories, and
Mhm.
preferably the main characters. Like I first noticed this with video games, but basically for me, like 51% of my enjoyment of a video game is, can I be a girl? And like weirdly enough, it's I feel so simple and so basic, but like when I watch an anime or something, like, does it have a lot of cool girls kicking ass is kind of a really big deal for me, and I think that's always kind of scared me away from this show a little bit. Because I mean, I've enjoyed what I've seen of the female characters, but it seems like,
Mhm.
there's just a lot less of them and they kind of have less to do. So, what are your thoughts on all of this?
So
Tell me a lot of stuff.
So no, I've also read some other good pieces that like go into a more critical view of Oda, and I think I don't want to be the well. If you look at it culturally, I don't want to be that guy, but
Sure.
like One Piece is published in Shonen Jump, which like the term shonen means that it is a boys manga, so there is a
Yes.
lot of catering to sort of the teen and adolescent readership and just treating them as though they are a majority male, even though there are a lot of women and presumably, and also possibly like non binary people who are writing in. But it is always a response that is done in a very jokey tone in a way that it kind of makes it hard to tell if Oda believes everything that the character that he answers as is what he actually believes, if that
Oh,
makes
interesting. Yeah.
sense. There are, I think, some reasonable criticisms of sort of some limitations of body types for women, and he does occasionally break away things, but it's also well, he enjoys drawing sexy women, and sexy women oftentimes fall into these categories. There's also a few times where you feel certain editorial influences in the series that lead to some not great stuff that we haven't gotten to yet. But at the same time, it does seem like he is trying to change and he is trying to make things better. We just got done with an arc where Robin had a lot of damn powerful scenes, and like Robin is a strong member of the crew, both in
I do really like what I saw of her in the show. Yeah.
yeah. I think I think there are criticisms, and some of those that are also going to be coming up in the future go more towards how the story shapes up. But generally, the women in One Piece actually have characters. They don't exist solely as sexual objects, and Uh, like while they can be sort of broad stroked a lot of the time, like this arc is a filler arc that we're going to be covering. While they do get kind of broad stroked here, they still kind of go beyond a
I'd
lot
love to
of
get a broad stroke.
tropes.
Anyway, sorry.
A person who's very turned on by middle-aged women.
We've
You,
got that button ready.
you in that fucking sound clip, I swear to God.
Yes.
Oh, that was a Janine drop. That was not the actual Janine.
hmm I've got a variety of sound clips, but that's what we go back to because it keeps being applicable.
Yeah,
I am I
I
am
said
also
that once, and
uh
now
I mean, I am also a person who's turned on by middle-aged women, so you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
hmm
Oh, great. Now you have a clip of me
Embrace.
saying it. Oh no.
uh,
um,
um,
go ahead.
but yeah, One Piece does a lot that other uh, shonen anime and manga don't do, and I think it also has helped to create a better space for female protagonists in manga. And while there is definitely some stuff that could be better in it, um, for what it is, I think it does a lot. And if you can kind of get past Oda being horny at times,
I don't mind
Yeah, fine.
horny. I don't mind horny. That's not a problem. My favorite anime of all time is Kill La Kill, to be clear. I just the specifics of the critiques were more like implications that women are inherently like weaker and worse at fighting than men, and kind of when the spotlight comes, it usually ends up going to the boys, and the women kind of have to step back at the important moments and don't really get to do as much cool shit. So
Yeah,
I will
I
say that Nami definitely for a lot of the time just definitely stays out of combat.
mhm.
But they do when she starts getting more involved into it, it's done in ways where she's showing off how she's able to go against like these strong people who even have devil fruit powers when she doesn't by just being smarter than them.
Yeah.
mhm.
And
Anyway, I
also,
go ahead.
Nico Robin, her entire thing is so broken. Like she's the I win button for the team. Like as soon
Right.
as she comes into them.
Yeah. I don't want to be the person who comes onto the podcast about a thing that people love and be like, "Hey, I don't watch this thing because I think it's dumb," you know. But so I
We had
apologize
that.
for that. But
We
oh, really?
we Yeah, no, Devin, my former co-host on several shows, just came on and was like, yeah, I don't care for this. Our other most recent guest also came on in a much weirder filler arc and was just like, yeah, I'm not a shonen person. I didn't necessarily care for this. It's like, you know what? That's fair. Not everything has to be for everyone, but we have also gotten sidetracked on this opening segment.
I talk a lot. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a big talker.
Hey, I am happy to fill it up, fill up the podcast with good content
All
and
right.
stories. So,
Yeah, like
uh,
that's what you do in a podcast is talk. So, you know.
well, and what we do on this podcast is we look at One Piece and The Simpsons as comparative animated shows, and then we fan cast One Piece characters with Simpsons characters because this is DohMance Tone. That's what we do on the show. In case like this is your first episode, this is that's what the show is. If you waited over like 20 minutes to
All the
find
Claire
that out.
stands showing up just for this one, right?
I mean, more power to you. I respect folks who are willing to check out a show just because another person they like has guested on it, and maybe we can get y'all further into One Piece. But it sounds like, especially you listened to or you watched the dub of the show, but you are interested in checking out more.
Of One Piece?
Hmm.
I don't know. Potentially. I there's so many shows, man, you know? Like
Yeah, but
I have a
but
giant backlog of shows, and I mean I certainly liked a lot that I saw here, and it's certainly jumped up in my estimation. But I can't really like
commit.
there's to a certain extent, you know, you say like it's a shonen and they're sort of catering to, you know, teen boys in certain ways and things like that.
Mhm.
And that's fine if they want to do that, but I think a sort of side effect of that is that it might not be the show for me relative to other animes that I could watch instead, you know. So
Completely fair.
I enjoyed what I've seen here and I'd be willing to watch more definitely, but it's not to the point where I'm like, "Oh my god, I have to go watch from the beginning. I've never seen anything like this. This is amazing." We're not quite at that level, but I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh, yeah, so yeah."
yeah. Well, and this is filler. So
Well,
this.
if it helps,
Mhm.
the thing that
Yes.
helped me when I started watching One Piece as a person who really didn't know what the hell she was getting into is that I told myself Zoro is a he/him butch, and that just like
Oh.
helped me ride through the entire series up until now. So
Yeah, see this, you know what? There are no ethical uses of AI. In well, there are a few ethical uses of AI, but if I could, I just want to like make everyone hot ladies, you know, all along the butch to femme spectrum, and then this would be the perfect television show. Just let me look
I
at all the hot
mean,
pirate ladies.
for reasons, there is a lot of semi-canonical. Oda has drawn it, gender-swapped fan art of everyone.
Uh-huh. Uh,
But we haven't arrived to why that exists yet in the show. So, yeah, getting back into the meat of the show, we are going to be covering episodes that initially ran between October 14th and November 11th of the year 2007, which I don't remember much of that year. Feels. No, that would have been my senior year. Yeah, we're senior year of high school for me at this point.
Damn, I was already graduated and making mistakes right now.
Yeah,
yeah, I was in college at the time.
I wouldn't start making mistakes until I went to college and did a bunch of dumb shit. The Simpsons episodes this time included the Homer of Seville, where Homer gets buried alive and afterwards finds he can sing amazingly while on his back. He becomes a famous opera singer, and Marge starts to become jealous of his fans. When they get attacked by those fans, Julia, another fan, saves them, but she also secretly offers herself to Homer, who turns her down, so she starts trying to kill him. And then they work with the police to catch her, and Homer retires. It's not a great one.
Speak for yourself, dog.
Oh,
Lenny and
right.
Carl, like having like just being Homer's entourage.
I I will say every episode that we watched, I had at least one kind of moment where a joke genuinely caught me off guard. Uh and I'm trying to think. I wrote down, I mean, this sitting up bad voice, lying down good voice is a good bit. It's a
Mhm.
similar to the curly straight Australia America a little bit in there. And yeah, there were some good ones in this. I they had the banner and it was sideways, and then they turned the banner of him sideways. They had to make up
Mhm.
excuses in the story for him to lie down so we could sing. There were some jokes. I had some laughs. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there were some
Yeah,
good bits. I
yeah,
just think ultimately, like, the Julia stuff
yeah.
wasn't really developed
No, that
all that
it's
well.
it's a cool idea, but it's kind of just a little bit cringe tropey kind of nothing. But
Mhm.
there's
But
some fun
Maya
stuff there.
Rudolph had fun. Maya Rudolph
Yes.
had fun.
Yeah, yeah.
We then had Midnight. Yeah, we then had Midnight Towboy, where Homer tries to find milk and ends up heading to Guidopolis, where he gets the car towed by Louie, who then gets him started towing cars, and Homer makes enemies with everyone in Springfield. The townspeople trick Homer into working in Louie's territory, and Homer gets put into tow jail with the other towboys when he gets caught. Springfield then falls into chaos because of a lack of towing. Marge causes Maggie in the B plot to become too independent, but she's unable to head out, save Homer, and in the end, she still does want love and attention from Marge. I thought this one was really solid overall, minus some stereotyping, but that's
Mm.
Simpsons DNA core at a
Are
level.
you saying that's offensive to Guidos from the Guidopolis or what?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The I yeah the bits I enjoyed in this one, I like Homer getting in an argument with his brain and then trying to strangle his brain with a "why you little." That's
Mhm.
a solid bit. Um, I also enjoy when he is in the secret jail beneath the tow truck driver's house, and there's this group of other guys down there, and Homer says something like, "Oh, did he, capture you guys too?" And then they all start saying stuff like, "No, we're all just down here braiding each other's hair." And another one's like, "No, we're all we're all practicing because we're in a barbershop quartet." And then they kind of go through all of these different things. And then Homer
Mhm.
says, all right, I get it. It's the second one, isn't it?" And then, oh gosh, what was the song? I had it. It was, oh, hold on. I got it. This, you know what? Editing is great for removing these kinds of gaps. Oh no! Do I not have it in my notes? Well, that was a long walk for nothing. They sing some they sing some delightful silly
Barbershop.
barbershop song. I'm gonna get my
Well, and then I love the bit where like Homer is just explaining the plots of movies to them, and they're just enraptured by it.
yes.
And also the A and the B plots actually meet up in a way that feels satisfying.
Totally, yeah,
Like,
because the whole thing is, yeah, they're trying to get Maggie to be more independent, and then she runs off to go rescue Homer at the end. And yeah, that's
mhm,
good.
mhm.
You know, not really. It just felt like I get annoyed when Homer just like has a new job. Like I know that's just kind of like the thing, especially this season. But like 2 episodes in a row, he just like goes on a new profession just at a drop of a hat, and that's
That
I
is
don't
true.
know.
Back to
Mhm.
back, becomes an opera singer, becomes a tow truck driver. Is yeah.
I mean, this on a level did have me think like, what if I quit my job doing tech and became a tow truck driver? I don't think I would like being hated, but then on the other hand, you could be like, no, let you off this time. And then imagine how good that person would feel for the day.
Yeah.
Like,
There was also the good joke in that where he's in the car with the tow truck driver and he says like your boss lets you listen to rock music and he basically says like yeah my boss lets me do whatever I want and he says something like is my boss is in this truck right now and then Homer's like but it's just you and me in here so that means wait I'm your boss and it's just solid that's just wonderful joke
or
yeah
or like there was the tow cable where he towed the helicopter and then just
yes
dragged it down.
for hovering over a fire hydrant yeah that was very silly
uh,
yeah
uh,
anyway
Yeah. We then have I Don't Want to Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, where Marge gets caught in a Dog Day Afternoon style bank robbery and Mrs. Lisa's award ceremony. To save Dwight the bank robber, Marge promises to visit him in prison if he stands down, but then she keeps skipping out on whenever she's supposed to go, so Dwight escapes jail, captures Marge, takes her to the amusement park where he was abandoned as a child, and then he tries to save Chief Wiggum, who and he gets caught in the gears, and then this time when he is arrested, Marge promises to visit him and then actually does visit him. Which it is weird that we already had actual actor Steve Buscemi in a cameo in an earlier season, and this is just a Steve Buscemi character.
I
yeah
feel like
go ahead
uh, I feel like this episode was completely made just to continue the joke of Steve Buscemi is a bank robber.
Mhm.
where else has that occurred
Let me think. It was in Big Fish. It was in. God, there's a list. Hold on.
I mean, kind of, Reservoir Dogs, but he's robbing a jewelry store. But similar thing of him being this kind of like, yeah, twitchy armed robber guy.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just seeing Reservoir Dogs and Big Fish.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, but there were some decent jokes. There were some good jokes in this one too. I um I just was trying to write down whenever there was a really solid one. There was one that I really liked and then it went too far and then I didn't like it anymore, which is there's the two bank robbers, there's Dwight and Dwight's companion who never gets a
mhm.
name. He has a very distinctive look. He's got like
Oh,
these kind of like curtained hair, but you never actually get his name. So,
no.
um
Are you familiar with Dog Day Afternoon?
no, is it supposed to be like that character?
Yes.
Oh, so is that the thing where there's like is that the one about the trans woman? The guy's trying to do the
Yep.
surgeries? Oh,
Where Al Pacino plays the guy trying to help his girlfriend get the surgery, and then IRL, his girlfriend never actually liked him, and he just kind of walked into the situation, and then she went off and married her like long term wife, if I remember correctly, and
hell yeah.
it's but yeah, like that's what that was
Inspirational.
reference to. Yeah. We should all get Al Pacino to do crimes for us.
Get some simp to rob a bank from you and then go marry somebody else.
A whole new game.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah, but the joke that I did like in that, I didn't put it together as the Dog Day Afternoon thing,
Hmm.
is one of them's like, "This is a robbery," and then another one says like a similar thing a moment later, and then he says, "Not like a separate one. We're together." And then someone says, "What, like a couple?" And then Dwight says no, and the person with him says yes, and then they kind of share a look. And I was like, "Oh, that's actually really funny," because it could imply like the implication, just to like explain the joke, is, oh, maybe they've had some stuff happen between the two of them, but it's not official, and there's a bit of tension as to whether or not they put a label on it. And like, that's just a funny joke, and it doesn't need to be a homophobic joke. But then,
Yeah,
like, the moment later, someone's like, what did they say? Like, it wasn't like Bonnie and Clyde. It was like, I don't know, something else.
Butch
Some two.
Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah, no, they say some version of something like Bonnie and Clyde, but it's like, the equivalent of like, it's not Adam and the like Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, but like,
Yeah.
Bobby and Clyde or Larry and Clyde or whatever. I don't know. Um, but yeah, and then everyone's kind of laughing, and I'm like, oh, so the joke is that they're gay? Oh, I just thought the joke is funny without you needing to do that, and it could just be like a not homophobic version of that joke if you just didn't like do the little extra bit at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I and then there's also the funny I really enjoyed. It's a very stupid joke, but he gets the money, and then there's a dye pack in it, so it
Mhm.
explodes and hits Dwight in the face with all of this blue ink. And then he was like, dye pack. And then he walks over and he puts his hand on like one of the bank tellers, who's this like dark haired guy with glasses. And then that guy explodes and
Oh,
covers him in even more dye because it was a fake bank teller dye pack. And then it's even, he says the thing of like, is anyone else in here a dye pack? And then the old man guy with the cane, fucking Jasper, yeah, raises his hand and then he shoots him. He's like, "Oh, I thought you said diabetic." Anyway, so that's good
uh,
jokes. That's good jokes.
mhm. We then have Treehouse of Horror XVIII, or 18, which includes E.T. Go Home, where Bart finds Kodos in a shed and Kodos uses the family for his plan. Alien hunters come for them, but then Kodos starts blasting so he can open an invasion portal, and the army ends up killing the invaders, and Bart kills Kodos. Mr. and Mrs. Simpson, which is a Mr. and Mrs. Smith parody where Homer and Marge are both assassins who catch each other and start fighting against each other, and then when Wiggum catches them, and Wiggum catches them, and then they both kill him, and then they realize that they get horny when they start working together. And then a Heck House, where the kids start doing pranks on Halloween night, which escalates until the town complains to Homer. Flanders steps in, offering to scare the kids with a Heck House at the church, and he prays for the power to actually scare the kids, turns into the devil, and then they are sent to hell, and Flanders gets them to repent. It's a mid-season Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah, I have very little to say about this one. It wasn't very good. The action in the Mr. and Mrs. Smith stuff was okay, but it wasn't funny, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe should have been funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I did have one. I was trying to write down at least one funny thing for each episode, and in that, it is when Homer has his sniper rifle and he's pointing it at um his target when he's about, and he says, "All I need to do now is come up with the perfect one-liner before I shoot this guy." And then he says, "Oh, that's perfect. But I don't need to say it out loud because I'm by myself," saying everything else there up loud, and then he
Mm-hmm.
shoots. Like, good joke. That's a good joke.
Uh, and then the last one we had was Little Orphan Millie, where Kirk and Luann decide to get remarried, and they leave Millhouse with the Simpsons to go off on their honeymoon. They end up falling off of the boat and are reported lost at sea. Millhouse gets depressed, believing he is an orphan, until he decides he needs to mature. He comes back being cool. Lisa's attracted to him, and Bart is now the bottom of the social ladder. Bart invites Millhouse's cool Uncle Zach, which makes Millhouse even cooler, and Millhouse leaves with his uncle and Bart, but then they run into Kirk and Luann as they are ballooning around the world. And then the B plot is Homer can't remember the color of Marge's eyes, so she is upset, and he can't figure it out until he finally remembers he wrote a song that mentioned the color of her eyes. It doesn't really go anywhere.
I was into Norbert Van Houten as a character, aka Uncle Zach. I enjoyed the stupid bit of the Danish versus Dutch branches of the Van Houten family having a rivalry. That
Mm-hmm.
that was silly, and I enjoyed that. And
That becomes recurring Simpsons lore.
oh, does it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do like how consistent Marge was about keeping sunglasses on
Mhm.
anytime that Homer was also inside of the room, and then just immediately taking them off as soon as he left.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just being able to see that kind of like consistency between the A and the B plots was really good. I think Kirk should die, and I think I should be able to get to do it. That's just my personal opinion. And you are a bad person if you disagree. Uh,
All
I
right.
think this is also a really good version of Millhouse that like I am probably going to Ooter pile a lot because I doubt that we're going to come across anybody cool enough to use them.
What's an Ooter pile?
The Ooter pile is a term that we came up with for characters who either I want to save because there's another character coming up in One Piece who will fit them a lot better,
Uh-huh.
or Janine wants to save because she doesn't think that the current use is appropriate enough,
Is
or sometimes
worthy.
out of spite. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really loved like depressed cool guy Millhouse as a character, and like some of the stuff in this episode kind of worked for me dramatically, like the stuff with Nelson suddenly being like nice to Millhouse and like
Hmm.
everyone wanting to be kind to him. It just felt kind of good to see other people having that side in them. There was something about it like that Millhouse gets shit on a lot, and it was nice to see suddenly everyone be nice to him. I That just made me happy.
All right. Well, new characters that we can now use include Julia from The Homer of Seville, Dwight Ditto-Hopper, Dwight Ditto-Hopper's accomplice, Dilbert, Johnny Stabbo, Lego Simpsons, Serial Cobra, Die Pack Clerk, Michael Schofield, Phonic Frog, Assorted Rigillians, Astronaut Millhouse, Spaghetti Homer, Bully Cerberus, Baby Burp Slot, and many more. And then we get to episodes 326 through 330 of One Piece. This arc did not need to be 10 episodes, but they made it 10 episodes. The title of these episodes include Mysterious Party of Pirates, The Sunny, and a Dangerous Trap.
Sunny in a pinch. Roar. Secret super speed. Mecha.
The dream sinking in the new world. The pirate of despair. Puzzle.
The assassins attack! The great battle above the ice begins!
The hard fights of the Straw Hat crew. The pirates sold banking it all on the flag.
So, the crew's getting accustomed to the new Thousand Sunny, which is the ship that they literally just got in like the last few episodes. Which also includes Luffy and Usopp catching a shark and putting it into their fish tank that they have to hold fish that they can then cook, and it immediately eats everything else. And we also get this arc as a bit of a, hey, Frankie built all this stuff into the ship. We used like bonus pages in the manga to explain it, but we can't really do that in the anime. And so that's partially what this arc is for.
Oh
The
my
other part
god,
is,
that is a question I was going to be asking you later. Is like, is all the cool shit we're seeing right now like canonical?
yeah, it is. Oda drew out maps of the new ship because obviously it's very toyetic and people are going to want to see more of it. And Frankie.
I like the fact that it has a deck that's like a garden. There's like grass and trees on it. Like
Mhm.
that's pretty chill. It seems like a good place to hang out.
Oh yeah, this ship was made with like a third of their fortune that got stolen from them by Frankie,
Hell yeah.
and then they used the rest of the money for a party. As they continue sailing, snow begins to fall, and they find a stranded ship where a group of fishermen are out of supplies. The Straw Hats offer to help them with food and medical supplies, and Jiro, a younger member of the crew, asks Chopper to help them with Puzzle, who got seriously injured, and Chopper helps to stabilize him.
Jiro,
Stands
by the
in.
way, looks like he will grow up to be Locke from Final Fantasy VI.
I never played that one.
Damn it! It's a good bit. If you look up pictures of Locke with an E at the end from Final Fantasy VI, he's the same guy.
And so we then basically, like, I took notes for this, and then it's also been like a month since I watched all these episodes. But basically, Stanson, who is the acting captain of these people who aren't actually fishermen, but they are the Phoenix Pirates, are working with the Achino family, and they try and drug the Straw Hats, but uh, everyone except for Luffy and Usopp is fine because they either didn't drink or they didn't trust anyone. And that's when the Achino family is getting ready to celebrate their father's birthday. And something's brewing at DohMance Dawn. Wow, Al Pacino? It's not Al anymore.
Oh my
It's
God.
Don Achino? Don't mind if I do. What's my name? Don Achino. A whole new
You
game,
did it.
Don Achino. Capturing
What the
pirates
fuck
is
is
my
this?
delight.
Are you
Taking on
familiar
them
with it?
in the
Oh
night.
right.
What's my name?
Oh my God. That is amazing.
I've been waiting to do that bit for 3 months, but also I procrastinated to the last minute because there's a point where it's like, well, could I hire someone to do a Al Pacino impersonation? Would that be worth it for the bit? And no, instead, I did it like 20 minutes before we started recording.
Oh my God.
That's
Really?
so lovely. That's really wonderful.
I'll stick the full version of that at the end because
Hmm.
you know me, I put my full heart into everything that I do, and I think it will really pay off.
Damn,
Uh,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
by the way, I did look up Final Fantasy VI Lock. It's a funny joke.
Good. I'm glad.
Uh, so, uh, basically, what's going on is the Phoenix Pirates are working with the Uchino family to help entrap other pirates because they have been so horribly demoralized. And so the party splits up with Chopper and Luffy staying back with the Phoenix Pirates as the Achino family goes in after everyone. And Jiro reveals that Puzzle, who's the captain, got injured after another member of their crew, Vigoro, died fighting the Achino family. And so everyone's kind of afraid to fight back anymore, and that's kind of why they've been so demoralized. And also, they had their flag stolen. And so, as they start going in, uh, with the ships tied together, they get separated by mysterious shifting icebergs that are around here. And when Puzzle finally gets back up, he's like, "Oh, I don't want to fight anymore." The Straw Hat
Yes.
crew gets divided up to try and figure out what's going on. And yeah, normally I have better notes, but this is just an arc that is a weird mess of too much going on in some ways.
I feel like the only times I ever see anything about how important it is to have your flag or getting your flag stolen is in filler arcs.
Or stuff that
When there
feels
is
like
not
filler.
something more important going on.
it's the same thing with bounty hunters, because like bounty hunters were something that were set up as being like a bigger threat, and this is really the only time that we have seen bounty hunters for the past couple hundred episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So Frankie and Nami head out in Shark Submerge 3, which is a shark submarine, and it turns out that there is a rookery of penguins that are moving these icebergs around, and they are incredibly violent and dangerous.
Did you have to look up rookery, or was that off the dome?
I looked it up.
All right, well, good work.
I also do prep work, Claire. So Sanji and Usopp end up trapped in a cave, surrounded by the penguins, and they get chased into Sao Chow and Arbel, who are a husband and wife couple, and we get one of our listeners, Wombat, message and was like, "Oh yeah, I hate Sanji in this arc because he really just regresses into the base form of Sanji. Like, you can be horny for a lady, Sanji, but also you have people who are relying on you."
Yeah. But the bit taken so far that it kind of undermines the stakes that they're kind of trying to go for.
Mm-hmm. And Rindo, who is one of two twin brothers, shows up on the ship because he wants to capture Puzzle because they believe that Puzzle was dead and he has a large bounty on his head. Frankie and Nami get stuck on an ice floe where they run into Hakura, who is hockey themed. Robin, back on the Going Merry, finds Lil, who is the youngest daughter who just wants to play with her. And Zoro ends up at the base of the Ichino family, which is called Lovely Land. And it's supposedly called that because everyone who goes there, even if they're being arrested and turned over, just has a lovely time, which we never actually see. Which is just a weird, why would you make this a point?
Yeah, I assumed we were going to see Lovely Land. But there's more of this arc, so you are saying will not? We're never going to get to the fireworks factory?
No, we do get into Lovely Land. We just never see it being all that lovely. That's the. Mm-hmm. So the Straw Hats get their flag stolen by Lil, who reveals that she will show Robin where it is if they play a game together because her big sister is too busy being mutually horny with her husband, which is at least nice to see.
Yeah. There's that great bit where Nico has 10 arms or something all up around Lil, and there's something hidden in one and she has to guess which hand it is. And she guesses the wrong hand and there's an eye inside of the hand. And I enjoyed that moment a lot. And then like you do, you immediately then just start thinking about other uses for these abilities, and it totally ruins the moment. It was this wonderful little pure moment, and then my stupid brain, stupid
any
horny
body
brain.
part.
Any body part.
Any body part.
Any body part.
Any
that
body
she
part.
wants.
Any body part.
We one of the last episodes we did, a couple of episodes, was literally just called Any Body Part because we had this discussion.
Oh, and Robin is going to get better using her powers at a point. So there's fanfic out there.
How much better?
I'm pretty sure you know, Claire.
Oh, I know very little about One Piece. I do know that it was featured prominently.
Any body part.
I knew any body part before I knew that it was pronounced Luffy. So the rest of my notes for this, it's just the deer is a doctor. Dirkter? ? I like the snails with the mustaches that are cell phones. Those are wonderful.
Yeah, the transponder snails are excellent design work.
Yeah, and then I think it just says Popeye's arms are secretly guns. And I was a little worried. I was a little curious about the cola thing, because in my experience that means it was alcohol in Japan, but they did look like soda bottles, so I think it was just cola, or was it is it powered by beer?
No, it is cola powered. Frankie is a cyborg that is powered by cola.
Okay, all right. Because my experience with Digimon, you know, in
Right,
that
right.
in that it is there's a certain character who they talk about how when he drinks too much soda, the bubbles go straight to his head and he gets all sleepy and silly. And it's like,
Mhm.
uh-huh.
No, yeah, no. Zoro is a functioning alcoholic.
Okay. So they
Yeah,
have actual alcohol and not just cola.
they do. They do.
Okay.
So, so everyone's kind of getting caught up into their fight. Lil reveals that her father, Donachino, has a room with all the flags, and they plan to capture everyone, including Robin, because they all now have bounties from the Marines. And as Luffy and Chopper are dealing with Brindo on the ship, uh, they are able to end up capturing him. And we kind of end with like nothing decided with the battles yet at this point. But Puzzle finally kind of realizes, oh, well, I need to like remember the legacy of my flag and the people who have worked with me, so I'm going to be ready to fight now. And uh, Frankie ends up knocking Hakura out, but he's out of cola. He and Nami get back into the submarine, but realize that they've been frozen over. And it turns out that now the family is actively capturing the crew, and they are all being brought into Lovely Land, and that's where we stop for this point. I'm sorry that is not as good as most of my other recaps. It's been a while.
I don't have much to compare it to, so I thought it was actually lovely, unlike Lovely Land. It was a lovely recap.
Thank you. Um, yeah. So we've got. I think part of the problem that I have with this arc is we have so many characters. Like most of the Phoenix Pirates have distinct designs, even though there's maybe too many bald people on the crew.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
I had to assign, characters to all of these, and I'm like, some of these have like two lines, and they all really blend together. Like, yeah.
yeah, that's part of the problem. Like, there's so many members of the crew. We have 17 people to match. Janine, do you have any comments on this arc so far?
So far, I mean, although they're non-canonical interactions between the crew, I do like just seeing Frankie like involved in everything.
Mhm.
So wait, why is this non-canonical? Explain this to me.
So
It's
it is not based on any of the manga that Oda wrote. This was something that they
Oda
needed
Rhoda.
to. Ichiro
Sorry.
Oda, the creator of One Piece.
Yes.
It's not based on anything that he wrote. They were just catching up too close to the manga release, and so they needed to get like 11 weeks of filler.
Gotcha. So like literally filler and not just in the way that people
Yeah,
say things are filler. Okay.
yeah,
Also, I made a
no.
joke a little bit ago. You'll catch it in the edit, Luke. It was very funny. Janine laughed. All right, let's move on.
All right. We have 17 characters to assign, starting with Puzzle. None of these characters will ever return. Let's get going. Also, in Discord, I dropped a link to my gallery picks. Y'all don't know who I am referencing. Up first, we have Puzzle. And my Rodrigo style pick was Mr. Johnson, the gym teacher, and my throwback pick, because I only did two for all these characters, was Huey Lewis from Huey Lewis and the News. Janine, who did you have?
well, I gotta start off by saying that I did get Rodrigo picks for all of these, but the Phoenix Pirates, they didn't get anything. But for this one, for Puzzle, I do have two, and I'm ready to fight to the death for them.
Uh huh.
First one is my Rodrigo style is John Bon Jovi.
When was he
And
featured in this Simpsons thing? I'm trying to remember.
There was a golden bust of him inside of the Louis' place.
yeah,
Okay.
and,
Does that count as John Bon Jovi if it's just a golden bust of John Bon Jovi?
yeah,
It has a
Gilbert
face,
counts.
it has a name. It
Hmm.
counts.
Yeah,
But would
I mean
Puzzle
we
then
can.
be a gold bust of John Bon Jovi and not actually?
Debatable,
Okay,
debatable.
carry on.
Yami
I'm
Yugi
just
is available because there was a poster for
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Price guides.
Price guides in an
wow.
episode.
You guys play fast and loose here. I didn't know how the rules worked, but all right.
No, we have very strict rules.
Uh huh.
They're just wide and encompassing.
Uh huh.
So yeah, John Bon Jovi. Who was your second pick, Janine?
I have General Bart from Bart the General.
Interesting.
I
Uh,
figured because Puzzle also wants to be king of the pirates that I had to have kind of like, because we have like Stretch Dude as our
Bart
Bart. I wanted to have like
or
another
Loopy.
kind of another Bart to kind of match it, you know.
Hmm. Who do you, Claire? Who do you have for puzzle?
Norbert Van Houten, actually. I think that he's a really good fit because they're both these adventurer types who everyone kind of looks up to, like the room goes quiet when they show up, and they kind of bring everyone up. They're seen as this inspirational figure. They weirdly had like a similar function in the plot of like, everything's okay, that person's here now, never fear sort of thing.
Huh. I do like
Actually,
that.
yeah, I also like that one. I'm good to go with Norbert Van Houten.
All right, we'll lock it in.
Awesome. You got a point on the board, Claire.
Hell yeah,
Hell
look at
yeah.
me.
First try.
Hmm. Up next we have Jiro. Janine, who do you have for Jiro?
All right, so I'm very proud of this one.
Mhm.
For the first one, I have, for my Rodrigo style, sack of potatoes.
Yes. There is a bit in the episode where um,
Midnight
Maggie
Piglet.
is learning to be more independent, where Marge wants to hold something because she doesn't have Maggie anymore, and she starts cradling a sack of potatoes. So, as her new child, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
And she gave it a name, so it's a character now.
It is. I also had sack of potato for a different character. Janine, what was your second
Sad Kid from I Married Marge. This is the child that is watching Homer try to make a candle and fail and just looking on disapprovingly to let you know that that's whack.
That kid wanted Homer to get beaten for that, though. Like Homer gets put in the
Jiro
stocks.
wants somebody to get beaten. He doesn't want nobody to get beaten.
Claire, who do you have?
I was gonna probably do Donnie, who is the sad little boy at the funeral at the beginning of
Hmm.
Homersville.
Fair. My Rodrigo style was Donnie. I have another use for sack of potatoes, and then my throwback was Lewis from the Mutiny on the Bounty because we haven't really used any Lewises, and we don't need to cast a Caucasian character for Jiro. But I'm good to go with Donnie. If Janine, are you good with Donnie?
Well, there's two Donnies on the board, so it's got to go. You got to do it.
Fair enough. We then have Donachino. We have not seen his power yet. He has the power of the hot fruit,
What does
which
that
is
mean?
why he is. His body gets hot, which is why he is on that big old block of ice all the time.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm. It's going to be an interesting battle. Claire, who do you have for Donachino?
This one felt like kind of a layup to me. Um, the whole thing in Homer of Seville is that Homer's lying on his back and can't get up, and we only see this guy lying on his back. So I would pick Rodolfo slash Opera Homer from that episode as
Um,
my pick. Though I did consider Placido Domingo as well, the actual real life opera singer who was in that episode.
so I thought, well, which because Homer plays Count Almaviva.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I thought it was. I must have misread it. So Opera Homer, whoever Homer plays,
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I also had that as my Rodrigo style. My throwback is the Collector, comic book guy's alternate identity from the Treehouse of Horror, desperately seeking Xena, where we get Stretch Student Clever Girl.
Hmm.
Janine, who do you have?
I have Mr. T as the Lion King.
Oh, that's actually pretty damn good. Yeah. There's a billboard at one point for Mr. T as the Lion King. So yeah, that is lovely.
Also, as a quick side note, I found a new website, Meme SRC, that has Simpsons that you can find screenshots for up through season 20, which gives us another like 2 years of
Hell yeah.
screenshots. Yeah, Freaky X stopped after 16, and it also has the movie, if I remember correctly. So it has been rough having to use the Simpsons wiki and Wikia Simpsons
Yes.
for shots. What is your other pick, Janine?
I have the aristocrat bartender, a bartender from a rival bar in the Flaming Moe's. Kind of a gross looking guy. Um, but I'm really leaning more towards Mr. T as the Lion King.
Well,
Pere, 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 pere.
we are getting
Pere, 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 pere.
message from our fans because we always do open suggestions through our Discord and through Twitter. And King Atticus also agreed with Count Almaviva from the Barber of Seville, and Reverse Eye Patch nominated Rods of Uranium 235 from Homer's Odyssey.
Didn't that Rod get Employee of the Month?
No, that's the inanimate carbon rod, Janine. That's Rodcyst.
Ah, I'm sorry. It is Rod's to think that all rods look the same.
Yeah, I did look up the aristocrat bartender, and he definitely has a very surly energy to him. I do think just for that Count Almaviva, like we got it as a fan suggestion. Claire and I agreed on it. I feel like Count Almaviva works best, and then we get another Homer and Bart fight.
Yeah, I'm voted out. You guys win it.
Yeah.
Teamwork. After that, we have Stanson, the acting pirate, or the acting captain of the crew. My Rodrigo style is Michael Schofield, the actor, because there is a bit in the Treehouse of Horror where they just have other Fox show characters popping up on the screen, and then Marge kills them all. And then my throwback was Johnny Kala, who I don't remember. Oh, he is another member of the news of Huey Lewis and the News, because that was basically my throwback idea. What if we used the members of Huey Lewis and the News, Janine? What if we did that? Janine, who do you have?
I have Steroid Itchy because he is a disgrace to the national pastime.
He is. And your second pick?
I don't have a second pick on this one, and I won't for a little bit. So,
All right. Claire, who do you have?
Yeah, so I'm only doing the Rodrigo styles because I didn't have the time to look up what you had done and what you hadn't of previous characters, and I thought it would be simpler.
That's
So
fair.
there's two characters in the episodes um watched that are sort of similar to Stanson in that there's a little bit of the are they a friend, are they a foe, what do we are they going to betray us, etc. One
Mhm.
was Julia, and so there was part of me that liked that, and the other one
Ooh,
is Louis the Toe Guy, where you meet him and you're like, oh, this person's good, and then they have like a dark side, for both of these characters.
those are both solid pitches. Janine, we've been saying that we do want more like gender swapped picks. Do we want to do Julia as Stanson, the fan who goes a bit too far?
I'll tell you, if that gets me closer to seeing our artist Mike Patton draw Julia Stenson,
Hmm. It does.
maybe. I mean,
Claire, you got my vote. You understand how this game is played.
Yeah, well, I can find parallel archetypes, even if they
Hmm.
don't look the same. That's
damn.
That's the name of the game.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm good to go with Julia.
All right, lock it in.
Cool. We then have Trough, who is bald and has shoulder pauldrons. It is sad. Uh, who do you have, Janine?
Now, this one I did as kind of a package deal with race,
Mhm.
and that it is the Bar Brawl video game characters.
Hmm.
Trough I have as Bar Brawl Slob, and Race as the Bar Brawl Suit. And it's the violent video game that Bart plays with Millhouse to cheer him up that his parents are presumably dead.
Mhm. And were those two also ones that you only had a single pick for?
Yes, they were.
Claire, how about you?
I was gonna pick the two people from the tow truck episode in the convenience store. The guy who works behind the counter as
Of the Mookie Mart?
Trough, probably. What's his name?
The Mookie Mart clerk.
Yes, and his girlfriend well, he kisses her and then says it doesn't mean nothing. This doesn't mean nothing. But that was Angelica, who
Yes.
yeah, I I consider them for a later pair that does some kissing as well. But
Oh, yeah, they are on my list in that position as well.
yeah, so those were two. I have a wild take for those two on my list. But
Ooh.
yeah, that's what I was thinking for Trough and Race.
So my my trough picks, or my trough and race picks were Lincoln Burrows and then uh, Dilbert for race because race just has a very Dilbert shaped head. He has Dilbert energy. And then for trough, race, leg, and guile, I had four members of the Glock Pointers as my throwbacks. The Glock Pointers were The Simpsons trying to make a rap joke, and it was just like, I need some characters I can just kind of throw away.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I say my Lago, Guile, Basil, and Sutton?
yeah.
I was gonna do the tow truck drivers in in Louis' basement, the
I
barbershop
also,
quartet. Yeah,
yeah, I also had those guys as
they
the.
don't have names unfortunately, but
Hmm. So I guess, do you have discerning traits for any of those?
I have a screen cap. I'm gonna look at it. Hold on.
Oh, if you wanted to drop that into
Well,
Discord,
so
that would be
here's the thing.
helpful.
I just took a photo of my
Hmm.
TV with my phone when I was watching it because I didn't want to. I was like, that'll be easier. Um, I'll try to find a screen cap of them that's like a thing I would want to share.
I should be able to have that in a. I was going to say I should be able to have that
Because yeah, there's
earlier.
the main one who does the talking is this like white haired guy in orange. Then there's this tall thin guy who's a Harry Shearer type, you know,
Mhm.
who's looks kind of like Alan Moore. They all have a different look. You know, they are all visually distinct from one another. So
Mhm. I am scrolling through meme SRC, which I may pay like $3 a month, so I don't need to worry about.
I did have other choices,
Yeah, go ahead.
particularly for Guile. I had Lego Bart.
Mhm.
The hair and the geometry of
yeah,
everything just really
yeah.
felt like it just hit.
Oh, yeah, that was for Guile.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then for Lago, I had P. Digo,
Who?
the opera singer who wanted to be called P. Digo.
Oh,
Oh,
see,
okay. Yeah.
Yes. I just wrote down P. Digo because I was like, you know what? They'll get the joke. And it's like,
I didn't get the joke. I'm sorry. I forgot the joke.
yeah. Okay, so I have posted an image of the 4 different tow truck drivers. Yeah, we got blonde guy with the hat. We got bearded thin guy. We've got
Oh,
uh,
there's
goatee hat
actually one
man.
more. I'll just share with you the bad screenshot that I took because there is another guy who's not in that. Oh, my screenshot. I can see what they were saying. It was under the boardwalk. Hooray!
Oh, there is every. I found an image with everybody because there's also the African American.
Or just yeah, just like darker
Yeah,
skin, not entirely clear, but yeah,
yeah, because there's also the guy that I want to say kind of looks Latino.
yeah.
who knows with these people?
Who knows? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I've got all 5 of them in there. So for Lago, who
Oh yeah. Let me take a look. Let me match them up. Um, got Lago.
and if you need a moment, we can go through Janine's other picks for Basil and Sutton.
Yeah, I think Guile is the one wearing orange with the black hat.
Mhm.
Um, I guess Lago will go the tall guy with the beard, and then uh, yeah, I guess actually Lago should be the darker skinned guy with the white shirt, and then Guile is the guy on the right. Um, for for Sutton, let's go the tall guy with the beard,
Mhm.
and for Basil, the guy with the black mustache and the red shirt.
Mhm. All right, Janine, who were your Basil and Sutton?
Oh, I didn't have anything for those guys.
It's it's been a while since you haven't had anything.
Well, there's something about having a guest here that just kind of makes me feel a little bit much more safer and just being like, I feel good about not getting the point if I can be able to make sure that Luke also doesn't get the point.
Okay.
So the question as I think uh were you wanting to use Dwight here? Is that what you're saying or no?
Um, so I just wanted to get all of that like
Right.
straightened away. Um, because I feel like I'm good with Trough and Race for using the Bar Brawl Slob and Bar Brawl suit. Because I really rather hold on to the Mookie Mark Clerk and Angelica, and we can hold on to Lincoln Burrows and Gilbert and the Glock Pointers.
Uh-huh. can I give you my, because I think I know you're going to want him for Salcho and Arabella or Arabelle. Can I give you my pitch for Salcho and Arabelle?
Yes.
I don't know how long you allow the list to exist in a state of quantum uncertainty before you must resolve it. But
We haven't really done anything like this before. Like maybe we'll have one or two, but also none of the characters really matter. It's fine. I'm
all
rolling.
right.
I'm rolling.
It's all jazz, baby.
My
Uh-huh.
pitch for Salcho and Arabelle is Dwight and Dwight's companion.
Aw.
Oh no, I like that. Oh no,
Because
wow.
then they actually are a couple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So, um, my picks for Trough, Race, Lago, and Guile were all members of the Glock Pointers, and then the picks that I had for Lago and Guile that I didn't go over yet were Gaylord Q Tinkledink and Dwight Diddlehopper's companion.
Oh, I got plans for Gaylord Q Tinkledink. Don't you worry.
um, and then my Basil and Sutton picks, I had Marcelo for Basil and Louis for Sutton, but I'm not tied to either of those. And then I had two other members of Huey Lewis in the News, Sean Hopper and Bill Gibson. No one really cares about those. I'd really like to go with the Bar Brawl Slav and Suit for Trough and Race, just so partially Janine can get some points on there.
Sure.
Ooh, pity points. I'll take them either way.
Yeah, I know. So Janine, and then I'm good with the Ford truck drivers that were mentioned for Lago, Guile, Basil, and Sutton. Like, I think those are great picks. And had I been aware of me and SRC, I probably would have used them there, but I couldn't find images. Like, to find a picture of the Mookie Mart clerk, I had to go to the German Simpsons wiki,
Uh huh. Wonderful.
where it's weird because there's no theming, and the image that I found of him was just his head cropped out on a PNG background. Yeah, I think the tow truck drivers are great picks, and I think that it fits these pirates who we are never going to think about
Yes.
again.
What?
Janine, are you good with
Go
that?
ahead.
I'm good with that.
So, and then I feel like the rest of them we are going to have
Fights.
picks. We are going to have opinions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll run through the rest of these. So we have Salcal and Arbel, and the Rodrigo styles that I had were Mookie Mart Clark and Angelica.
Uh huh.
My throwback picks were Jack White and Meg White of the White Stripes. Because
Oh.
I think Salcal and Arbel also have, are they a couple? Are they siblings? It's weird vibes there.
Yeah, it would make sense. I couldn't remember any like weirdly too intimate with each other. What is the vibe here? This is kind of creepy couples from the past of The Simpsons. But yeah, that's a good pick.
Mm-hmm. Janine, who do you have?
Well, I'm gonna seem like an idiot now, but good. I had Assassin Homer and Assassin Marge.
That's actually not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then for my other picks for both of them, I had Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger.
I briefly thought about that too. That's wonderful.
And then Claire, you had Dwight and
Dwight and Dwight's companion.
Mm-hmm. We have
Dwight's pre-op pre-HRT trans girl companion.
mm-hmm.
Oh my god, the Boymoder Bankrobber.
The Boymoder bank robber.
The Boymoder bank robber
No
has
one will-
struck again.
No one will recognize me if I'm boy moding when I rob this bank. Oh, look at that hair. She's not fooling anyone.
And that would explain why she looks cold there.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, I'm good to give it to Dwight and Dwight's companion.
you know, I will support the ladies here.
Okay.
The ladies, the ladies.
And then Dwight's companion runs off with another woman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Poor Steve Buscemi can't catch a break.
at least actual actor Steve Buscemi's cameo in the show, he got to be a happy guy.
Yeah.
We then have Lil, and my Rodrigo style for Lil was sack of potatoes. Just the image of Robin playing with the sack of potatoes, this incredibly intimidating. And then my throwback was the re-deadening girl. The girl who talks to baby button eyes in the horror movie that Lenny was in that traumatizes the kids. Janine, who do you have?
I had for my Rodrigo style, Julie. Because I also
Julia?
wanted the image of Edna, like our Nico Robin, playing with a middle-aged woman.
That's a very different kind of playing, but yes, that would.
Yes, yes, but
A person who's very turned on by middle-aged women.
thanks, Luke. Thanks.
I'm an ally.
And my other pick, I had Marge's bully that bullied her for having a lunchbox that was the monkeys.
Mm-hmm. You know, they don't even make their own, or they don't even write their own songs. Claire, who do you have for Lil?
I had a really hard time, and then I cheated and looked at your picks, and I saw that you had sack of potatoes there, and I can't do better than sack of potatoes.
Oh, so sack
You
of
just picked
potatoes
the
has
meat.
it.
I certainly do.
Oh, and then Cappuccino, and we haven't really seen much of Brendo yet, but they are color swap twins. Um, Janine, who do you? I feel like we can cover them together. Janine, who do you have for Cappuccino and Brendo?
Okay, so for the Cappuccino guy, I have the weird Abraham Lincoln Southern Belle thing that Homer was trying to do. Like, what the fuck was up with that? Like, I
Yeah.
have in parentheses after that, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Southern Belle, Lincoln, Homer, and Brendo.
And Brindo, to match with that, I have Lego Homer.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And were those single picks that you had?
Single picks, both of them.
Claire, what about you?
So yeah, this was tough because I was looking for a pair of guys. I briefly considered the two alien hunters that show up to the door in the Treehouse of Horror.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of generic, whatever guys. There was also oh gosh, what was the other one? Oh gosh, I had it. I just had it. I just had it. Now it's gone. Oh right, I remember. In there's the two sailors who show up and inform Millhouse that his parents are lost at sea. And I enjoyed the parallels there of them both being like searching the sea for stuff, and these guys are like pirate hunters, and they have the bit where they're like, do you know how big the sea is? And I saw some parallels there. But the one I would like to do most would be Louis the Toe Guy, but that's not a pair, because we haven't used him
Yeah.
so far, and I think he would really fit these people here. So if we did like Louis the Toe Guy and Mookie Mart Person or whatever, but yeah, I don't know.
So my Rodrigo style is there's a bit where there's two hockey players in a penalty box, and then like something happens to it, and they're like, "We're free." That had the energy. My other pick for throwback was Serena and Venus Williams, because they are twins. They wear color-coded outfits that more or less match.
That's not bad.
I don't hate it. It's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They also could like totally kick your ass, which is kind of the vibe that you want them to have. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're stronger together.
Yeah.
So, Claire, it sounds like you're on board for Serena and Venus Williams.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
Janine, can you go with the twins?
I mean, I'm gonna have to if you both are going for it. My homers don't stand a chance.
We then have Hakara. Claire, who do you have for Hakara?
Oh, if I've ever seen one, toe to tip, this is a Gaylord Q Tinkle Tink.
I also had Gaylord Q Tinkle.
Wonderful.
And I assume that you didn't have a backup choice, Janine?
No, actually, I had the Mr. O'Bannon from the Hockey Dad video game.
Nice. My Rodrigo style was Dwight Diddlehopper, but we've used him already. And then my throwback was Kozlov, who is the hockey player who Lisa makes friends with, and then he gives her his hockey stick, and it is filled with termites, so they have to move out of the house for a bit. Just because I was looking for a hockey player, but yeah, you can't beat Gaylord Q Tinkledink. So, what a weird show we have. And then last we have Vigaro. And my Rodrigo side was Johnny Stavo. Though I think we'll have better uses for Johnny Stavo later. And my throwback was Tom Wolfe, the writer, just because they have similar hairlines. Janine, who do you have for Vigaro?
I'm kind of doing a called shot with this one. You can go ahead and tell me if I'm wrong, but if I'm wrong, then at least I'll have like another meaning for it. Because there's two meanings for this. And it's Dilbert, and I'm going to explain it, okay? Stay there. So the first idea that I had when looking at this motherfucker was like, this guy's still alive, and he was actually the one leading them in a trap to like get their shit stolen in the first place. So like, if that's the case, then that means like he was evil all along. Like who? Scott McAdams, creator of Dilbert, right? You get it.
Scott Adams.
Scott Adams. Whatever the fuck. I don't care to know his name. But the second one was if he really is dead, then this can be my way to put Dilbert to death.
I see.
Okay. Claire, who do you have?
Die Pac-Man. Oh, I love the idea of puzzle Norbert Van Houten being in this like kind of touching friendship / romance with Die Pac-Man. Then dies tragically and covers everyone in blue.
Yeah, I think Die Pac-Man is the great choice. Janine, are you good with Die Pac-Man?
I don't think
I
I've
I don't want
had
to
her
I
on
don't
the
want to
show.
overrule you if you got strong feelings about Dilbert.
We are going to have shitty enough people for Dilbert. Janine. There will be Dilbert blood.
There will be justice for. Okay.
I mean, Dilbert is no longer a syndicated comic. The comic got dropped by the publishers, so.
Damn.
Mhm. Claire,
Yes.
you got a lucky 13 picks and co-picks in this
Hell yeah.
episode.
Holy shit.
All right. Pretty cool.
Yeah, like legitimately, you came to play. Like that is how the Rodrigo style got the name.
Uh-huh.
Rodrigo came to play, but I think Rodrigo didn't have that many characters, did not have that many picks that made it. So
Guess it's Claire style now. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll tell Rodrigo. But yeah, Rodrigo made it. Yeah, Rodrigo got 8.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it is a way to win the game.
Yeah, I
So
think that you have now more points than any other guest that we've had.
I think that is
Well,
likely.
I mean, I don't. Have you ever had a guest on with 17 before, or like?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's not normal, but it has happened
Mhm.
like at least 3-4 times.
Yeah. So our puzzle is Norbert Van Houten, our Giro is Donnie, our Donacino is Count Almaviva, our Stanson is Julia, our Trough is Barbara Slob, our Race is Barbara Suit, our Lago Guile, Basil and Sutton, our tow truck drivers, our Saucal is Dwight Doodlehopper, our Arbel is Dwight Doodlehelper's companion, our Lil is Sack of Potatoes, our Cappuccino
Yeah.
is Serena Williams, our Brindo is Venus Williams, our Hakara is Gaylord Q Tinkledink, and our Vigaro is Die Pack Man.
Yes. Oh.
Oh,
I can't wait to listen to this later so that I can be able to hear myself go off on Dilbert and just be destroyed by Die Pack Man.
Oh.
All right. So we will be back in 2 more weeks for the rest of Ice Hunters and for something that Janine is not expecting and will be very excited about. But if people would like you to, if people would like to find you online, Claire, where can they find you online?
Oh, so we're done. Oh, this is just like a little over an hour and a half. I mean, usually most of my podcast recordings are like 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. So I don't know. This was
I mean,
you want to hang out a
I
bit more? Just chat? I'm just
I tried to tighten it up here. Like,
I was getting us off topic and you kept pulling us back on, so I appreciate that. If people want to find me, my name is Claire, spelled CLAIRE. Last name Mulkerin, MULKERIN. You can find me on the Bad website, Twitter, or on Blue Sky. I do a lot of shit. I do podcasts such as Binary Break, and I also make video games. Check out my itch page. Games like the horror comedy Apocryphana, which is about a haunted trading card game, and Heartfire, which is a game about lesbian dragons who live in space and fight robots.
like you do. Janine, where can you be found online?
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Janine Juliet. I also have another podcast, Wrestle Girlies. When this comes up, I should have the episode where we assign personas to wrestlers.
Did the noise filter stop my clapping, or did that go through?
No, we caught the clapping.
Okay, good. Because I have been listening, and I am a wrestle girly as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's it. I think that's all that I'm on right now. I don't know. I'm trying out other social media sites. I don't understand Mastodon. Co-host seems cool,
Mhm.
but I feel like I don't know enough people to follow on it to like get it.
You're on Blue Sky or no?
I'm on Blue Sky, yes.
Yeah.
Also, Claire's a good follow on Blue Sky just because of the doggy pride posts that you've made.
Yeah, I made a dumb joke about of inspired by a dream that I had about Elliot Page returning to the X-Men films, and someone says, "Kitty Pride, is that you?" And then he says, "No, my name's Doggy Pride because cats are girls and dogs are boys." This happened to me in a dream. This is the thing that happened. Elliot Page showed up in a fake X-Men movie in my dream, and his name was Doggy Pride because now he's a boy.
I just
Anyway,
it dog just I said it out loud
uh-huh.
and it like is kind of becoming a vocal stim now from doggy pride.
Wonderful.
Doggy pride.
Wonderful.
And then you can find me most places online as at Coltreg. That's KOLTREG, including my itch.io page where
Oh,
I buy
comics.
comics. Yeah. Um, Also, everybody involved with the project keeps being awful at promoting it, but the first Wednesday of every month, I am doing a live stream One Piece alternate universe RPG where it's me, uh, David and Jordan from Shonen Flop, uh, Tekking, who is a One Piece YouTuber. Um, shit, I'm blanking. Dingo, who does the comic Scoob and Shag, and then Shin from Shin Comics. We're just doing a very strange One Piece actual play that we are bad at promoting. We normally have like one person watching, and it is mostly us. It is mostly them trying to pretend to be wrestlers to get through serious problems that they are put in front of. If you follow the Discord or if you follow the show on Blue Sky, you can find stuff about it there. It is a good and wholesome time. And yes, I would also like to shout out Mike Patton, who was our current cover artist. You can find most places at as Patent Pending. That's PATTENPENDING. Sometimes there's an underscore in between there. But Mike does the wonderful work of turning our picks into viable art and truly true pieces of art, like the Peter Griffin cover that we had last time.
Oh my god.
That was
Cursed
very
magic.
upsetting, and I don't understand it because I haven't listened to that episode, but I shall. Was there a crossover? Is that what's going on?
So in uh an episode, so there's the episode where Homer clones himself in a treehouse of horror, and one of the jokes is that one of Homer's clones is Peter Griffin.
Ah, I see. Yeah.
So we can use him. Stan
That's
Smith
upsetting.
from American Dad has also been cast in the show.
That's upsetting.
As a truly horrendous person who will still keep appearing.
And we have art of it and it looks so weird. Like
Oh, it hadn't even occurred to me, but I'm so excited to see art of this one. That's so
Mhm.
great.
yeah, something that most likely you chose is going to be drawn.
Yeah, um I've had this experience as well a little bit with some podcasts, but that idea of like you make up a thing and then someone else who's not you draws the thing. It's like one of the weirdest and most satisfying experiences you can have as a person who makes a thing to be like, wow, this art exists because I did a thing, and now there's this picture, and it's a thing I made up, and that's so cool. Like, it's very great.
I have done that several times with comics.
Luke
Yeah.
has a shirt that is cover art from this podcast.
Wonderful.
I mean, I've also got the design for the better version of that shirt that I guess my wife has not complained about me wearing the version of the shirt that Devin got me yet. So, like, I can go and just print out the better version of the shirt at some point. That's the one that has Burns riding on the Smithers flamingo.
That is one of the best pieces of art for the show. I looked through the gallery, and that's on this. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's so good though.
I recently started looking through old sketchbook commissions that I got for podcasts, and one of them that I got was Kyle Starks did What If Cyclops had lobster blasts instead of optic blasts? And just the way that it worked, just like the vibes of it. I'm going to post the image gallery in. It's just such a visceral. Whoop, I almost posted that into the wrong person's chat. Yeah, I just posted it. It's just such a visceral image.
That's a great image. That's so wonderful.
Yes. Hello, this is Luke in the editing room, popping in to say I had totally forgotten that we had a guest artist filling in. This week we had Chris Dobbins fill in for the cover, and they did an amazing job on that cover with the Williams sisters, and I just wanted to shout out them and the great job. You can find more of their work at cdobbinsart.com. That is C as in cat, and then DOBBINSART.com. Check them out and give them a follow. They did a wonderful job. Back to me in the past. Yeah, you have been listening to DohMance Dawn. We'll be back in 2 weeks for the end of this arc, and then 2 weeks after that, it's going to get spooky, and we should have Dalton Shane of Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe on the podcast as we get into Thriller Bark.
All right.
But you can find the podcast at DohManceDawn.com. We are on Blue Sky. There's also Facebook that I'm bad at updating. But please share the cover art. Tell people where they can find more of it, because your words of, hey, look at this weird thing, help to bring people onto the show. And if you are familiar with Simpsons but are not further ahead in One Piece, or know someone who is, who would make a good guest, you can message us on Blue Sky, or we have a Discord, because everyone has a Discord now. We will be back in 2 more weeks, but until then, be the wind. Something's brewing at DohMance Dawn. Wow, Al Pacino? It's not Al anymore. It's Don. Donachino? Don't mind if I do. What's my name? Donachino. A whole new game, Donachino. Capturing pirates is my delight. I'll take them over in the night. What's my name? Fuck. Shit. Fuck. Shit. Lovely Land, Hakara, Arbel, what's my name? Wait, fuck. What's my name? Donachino. What new game? Donachino. Donachino.